Difficult. Women.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
We did it.
We did it. What did we do?
We're here. We showed up.
Oh, we made it.
We left our
showed up.
houses.
Oh my God, it's exciting.
Welcome, world. You're
Welcome.
listening to Difficult Women Podcast.
Yes, we are Reformed Whores.
That's right.
That's just the name of our band. Though.
That's
We're
the
not. I mean, maybe we kind of are in real life too, but I'm Katie.
I'm Marie.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you. It feels good. We are finally back together. Full disclosure, y'all. The past several weeks those were pre-recorded. Boom, gotcha.
But they weren't no, they had never been released before.
Right, no.
So
they
were
were
still new content.
So basically, I mean, it was Christmas break, New Year's break, all that sort of stuff, but we did not stop the pod. We kept it going.
I'm going to keep that party going.
Because we have one job, and that's to serve you.
Is that really our only job?
That's my one job, is just to get my podcast out there. So many podcast questions when I went home. My poor parents. Yeah, my parents
don't
don't
get what it
understand. My dad especially just struggles with how do we make money from podcasts? And he's smart about it. He's right on. I tried to explain about, advertising and stuff. And then he asked me how much we've been making. And, I said the goal is a lot. So we will be millionaires by the end of 2020. That's
but
what
we
I
also
told
do
them.
it for the love of potting.
That's true.
It's not like we're just trying to suck money out of you guys.
No.
You don't even have to pay anything for this. It's
I know
great.
it's free.
I love it.
Because it's free, you should probably head on over to patreon.com though.
If you'd like, please do.
Yeah, because that's some hot, especially for 2020, we're going to be coming out with so many.
Oh my God, we're going to be
hot
all
things.
on top of that. Now that we figured out how that site works. It took a minute.
Have we figured it out?
I mean, we're getting there. It's good. We're sending out some fun. We sent out Christmas cards to our patrons, personalized Christmas cards. That was really neat.
That was really fun.
If you got one of those, let us know if you're a patron listening today. Yeah,
but we're back together finally. Because I was where were you?
I was mostly alone at home.
Ah, that's lovely.
Everyone was gone, and I was just like, there was about a 4-day period where I didn't speak to any humans. I was.
Were your roommates gone?
Everyone was gone.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was very lonely. I totally lost track of what the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I really was in that hole of
the bubble.
Oh my God. It wasn't even just I didn't know what day it was. It was that I never knew what time it was. It could have been any time at any time.
Did you get dressed or were you
No,
just
why would I get
PJs?
dressed? No.
Yeah.
I think every so often I'd go get a grocery or something, but I'd be like, how does money work? I don't remember. Like, just nothing.
Does my voice box work?
Oh my God. That for sure. I did not get a lot of use out of that.
Well, I had just the complete opposite experience. I had people all over me for about 2.5 weeks. I was never alone because I was down in Tennessee and then I went to Atlanta and all that stuff. But it was good. I'm happy to be back to New York, mainly because of the traffic and consumerism in other cities.
Oh,
is so blaringly like Nashville. I love Nashville, but I don't recognize that my city anymore.
Interesting.
It's a totally different place.
It's grown a lot, huh?
It's grown, and then they've just torn down every beautiful old historic building that was worth of it anything replaced it with a skyrise apartment that Taylor Swift lives in.
Oh, does she live in all of them?
Yep, she lives in all of them.
She probably does.
Also, I learned that Reese Witherspoon lives in my neighborhood. In Nashville. I had no idea. So I just camped out,
just
trying to spy her.
Looking for her.
No, but it's good to be back, and I'm so excited to be potting. One crazy thing that was happening the entire time we were gone was we kept getting these alerts.
We got lots of alerts.
YouTube.
Yeah, we've talked about this before on the pod, but the one episode that not everybody, that certain people have been fixated on is our incel episode. And oh boy, people, they're catching on that we got that episode out.
Oh boy.
We've gotten a lot of comments.
A friend of mine sent me a Facebook message saying that we are famous on Reddit in like the incel group or something. Someone had posted our YouTube video, or it's just a sound bite of that episode, and someone had commented, it's rage fuel, you don't have to watch it, just give it a dislike.
Which is funny to me too, because that's a crazy idea that, this is rage fuel, like this is something that we're gonna make, we want to be mad, like let's be mad, so there's that.
So don't even listen to it.
But you don't even have to listen, just like let's all not worry about what the content is of the episode. Mm-hmm. We're just gonna bash it without knowing anything about it, which is so 2020 and 2019 and like so of this time
so
period
2020.
where people don't, you just read the headline of the article
Right,
and you
and
don't
then
read
you
the
bash
article
it.
and then you like say you know everything about it, which is what I do all the time. But so we got like lots of comments. Some of these I just can't even. This one is sort of interesting because it uses so many, because they have all this terminology that they use.
Yes.
So this one was LMAO, which is not their terminology. The most blue-pilled, low IQ thing I've heard in a while. Two women talking about men's problems. You two are living life on tutorial mode as women. And then somebody responded and said, I'm confused what they've said that was wrong.
Oh,
and
really?
I think
I missed
that's
that one.
yeah, and I think
Thank
that's
you.
the point. Is what kills me about this is that the whole point of the episode, it wasn't to defend them per se, but it was trying to explain and understand, like, from what their perspective was, to give them a little bit of a room to, I don't know, have a little bit of space in a regular human person's conversation who's not an incel to understand what's going on here.
And to not stereotype incels and actually kind of dive in and understand what exactly that means and why society has pushed these types of people.
Why they feel really isolated and why, you know. But I think that what I've learned is don't be nice to people. Don't give them a
2020
platform.
Difficult Women Pod is saying don't be nice to people.
No,
don't give
just
them a
be
platform.
just every man for himself, every woman for herself. No, that's not how I feel. But I do think it's crazy that you try to relate to somebody and then you realize there's some people that they want to be victims.
Right.
These
they
people
can't even hear you.
No,
yeah,
they want to be
want-
victims.
yeah.
So, fine, you can be
Well,
victims.
I got scared because, it's a topic that, you hear the word incel because of, shootings and that sort of thing. And I haven't seen The Joker. Did you see The Joker?
I saw it. It's so good.
You did?
Oh my God.
So is it about incels or just like
no, it's about somebody who's been mistreated so badly by society that he breaks, and who has actual mental like issues prior to being bullied anyway, but then is bullied into just, you either kill yourself in that scenario or you turn into a psychopath. And in this case, Joker turns into a psychopath. It's also such a good, if you care at all about, Batman and those stories and I feel like we've all grown up with them to some degree. It's such a good origin story, but it's so upsetting. And I can see why people were worried that it could encourage people to
do bad things.
Because he's a hero in the movie and he basically is like, fuck all y'all. And you kind of are like, yeah, I know why. Yeah. So I know a lot of people did not like that movie, but I thought it was incredible. It's also beautifully shot and so well acted and all that stuff. Not for everybody, but anyway, sorry. What were we going to say about the Joker? I got distracted because I was like, I love that movie.
I love that. Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying the subject of incels does scare me, and I'm glad that we kind of tackled that subject. But now we're getting exactly kind of what I thought might happen, which is fine.
Which I
we're
think
safe.
I think it just goes to show, though, like I said, that they're just proving the point that the thing that people don't like about them, they're just doing that thing, which is that they don't he even said it in that comment, you don't have to listen to it, just dislike it. Well, that's not a way to live your life.
No.
So anyway,
Well, thanks, trolls. That was a fun troll time to be receiving throughout the holiday break.
Yeah.
My phone would ping and be like, oh, another incel comment.
Cool,
How lovely.
cool.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
We did get a positive email.
Yes, and we're
this
gonna
is the
focus-
opposite of troll time.
focus on positivity.
We got a great email from my dear friend Chris Williams. Shout out. Hello. He wrote us an email. Hey, hoes. Just wanted to chime in on your most recent episode. I was super bummed to hear the stat that millennial men were mostly opposed to their partner working. I was even more confused about y'all's own experiences with fellas who weren't okay with their lady being the breadwinner. As a single dad in the dating world, I'm dying to not be the only one with my shit together in a relationship. Furthermore, I would give anything to meet a woman that could reach the amount of success that would allow me to jackass around the kids all the time. Anyway, y'all are a force for the positive, and I love the show. Chris in Nashville.
Yay, Chris.
Yay, Chris.
Thanks for your feedback.
That's true, actually. I loved our episode about following your dreams and having a supportive partner and all that sort of stuff. But it's just, there are so many men out there that are single fathers raising their kids alone and the same type of experience that he's going through. Chris, I watched him through the years, like, get his shit together. And he is the greatest father on the planet. It's really just been so cool to watch. So
yeah, I've met him too, and I think he's a wonderful person. And he also strikes me as someone that would get it. That I think what he's I think especially if you are a single father and you start to see what the responsibilities of that job are when you're raising a child, and frequently women see it and men don't always see the whole picture, and I think he's getting a chance to see the whole picture. He's in a position to be like, okay, I would like to have a responsible, cool lady that has her shit together to help me out. Like, that is a reasonable way to look at that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that he acknowledges that. I saw some sort of it was like, what do you call it, like a blog post or something just yesterday.
Reading
randomly.
blogs again?
I don't know what you'd call it. Almost like an op-ed, but it was just in a not very important blog. I'm sorry. But someone was sort of going through this notion of, I guess there's also this is not Chris. I'm not accusing Chris of this at all. But I guess there are some men out there that say, I want like an independent lady who pays for her own things and doesn't suck me dry and blah, blah, blah. And I guess there's a consortium of men that say they want that, but then they also want to control their women and they get jealous, say, we can't go out and with your friends because you're my woman, but also I want you to be independent and pay for your own things. It's like, no, you can't have it both ways. So the whole thing kind of broke it down, saying, if you really want an independent woman, this is what it looks like. She doesn't need you. She doesn't, it doesn't mean she doesn't want you,
right?
And wants you to have you. She's choosing to have you around, but she don't need you. So don't act like you can control her. Then she's gonna go off and have her friends. She's gonna go do. That's what it means to be independent,
right?
And I guess there's sort of a fetishization of strong, independent women, so that there's it's just like every other type of woman, that there's a way to sexualize it and make it into sort of a product. So these men that love these like strong women, but they don't know what that means in a human way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought
the idea of it is great, but then the actuality, they're like, wait a minute.
Well, it's like if you watch a porn where the woman is telling you what to do and she's dominant, then you're like, yeah, that's hot. And you're like, no, what it means is I have a job and I just want to pay my rent by myself and not have to worry about you,
Right.
And it means I have my own thoughts and opinions and things. And those guys are like, what?
I thought you just wanted to dominate me.
Yeah, they want to spank me. Like, well, that too, but also just
wow. Well, 2020, independent women everywhere.
We're getting there, slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
Getting some people on board, just halfway there. I don't know.
Well, speaking of independent women, that leads perfectly into our topic today, which I think is, the world is literally burning and God, I don't know what's happening anymore. And I wanted to pick a topic today that's light and fun and positive because Lord knows we need it. So where else to turn to but the Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
Were you a Girl Scout?
No, and that actually brings me to my point, which is I did a very bad job researching this because I got so distracted by looking up 4-H stuff because I was in 4-H. So I started looking up.
So what's the difference between 4-H and Girl Scouts?
So the big difference between 4-H and Girl Scouts is 4-H is funded by like agricultural programs and like the government and sort of ways that a lot of money comes from that or from like public colleges and things. And the Girl Scouts is a non-for-profit, but they fundraise.
Right.
So 4-H doesn't have any kind of fundraising. So I have lots of opinions about this too, but I know, for example, it's not like it's super expensive to be a Girl Scout, but you definitely have to spend money because you have to buy the uniforms and the patches and then there's like some dues and stuff. In 4-H, you don't have to spend a dime. There's no requirement. Our club and some clubs had dues monthly, but they were mostly to cover the cost of the soda and potato chips at the meetings. You know what I mean? And none of it went to the organization. Whereas when you sell cookies, for example, at Girl Scouts, most of that money goes back to the organization and not the troop. So that's one thing. Also, another thing that's different is that Girl Scouts have a merit system that's through badges, which are so fun and so cool. And I was so jealous of that as a kid. But one thing I was reading about with the 4-H, which is kind of cool, is that 4-H, you'll have programs, you'll do like presentations on things, but they really don't tell you what it has to be on. So this one woman was explaining how her kid did a demonstration on what Pokemon characters correlated to animals, like what real animals were the most like Pokemon characters. And the point isn't the top. She was really excited to do the project, so she put all her energy into it, and then she got good marks on it because she was passionate about it, and she got up on and she wrote a very a thoughtful thing, and it's not specific to anything. Whereas in Girl Scouts, you're like, oh, I'm going to learn how to make a fire, or I'm going to do this thing, and then I earn a badge. None of those things are bad or good. They're just different. Anyway, so that's that.
And it's co-ed too.
4-H is co-ed. And the other thing about 4-H is it's in theory, it's very, very, very for anybody. So partially because there's no cost to it. And because it's co-ed, there's just no limits to who can join. You just have to be within a certain age group.
I don't remember 4-H growing up.
It's not very active in all areas. That's the biggest problem. And it's always thought of as being this farm thing. And it's mostly been paid for by the agricultural programs in the United States, because it was a program for farmers' children's, but it's just developed beyond that now. There's a lot of like public speaking and leadership programs. That's what I was participating in. And of course I did all the sewing stuff. So anyway, love 4-H. Just remember that that's an option too, if you like that. But today we're talking about Girl Scouts. And I know something about Girl Scouts too.
Yeah, well, I was a Girl Scout.
You were?
Well, I was a brownie. Okay,
I didn't
so that's
know
like
that.
a first level. I think brownies are 7 to 9 years old or something. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I was a brownie as well as my older sister. Margot, my younger sister, did not participate. When I texted my full family this morning of like, hey, any stories of Girl Scouts or brownies? And like Margot wrote back, I didn't. Mom said I couldn't do it. Or like,
she was like, we're done.
Because I mean, truthfully, I think what happened was there's 3 of us girls, and Rachel did it, and then I was doing it. And it was so fun, but it was expensive. And then you're required to like sell cookies and, but it was so fun to have a group of girls that you were able to, I remember we went camping. We went whitewater rafting at 7 years old. I'm like, ah!
Wow.
And I got a badge for that. And then a lot of cooking stuff. But in the end, it was too expensive for all of us to do. So none of us
it's
got
hard
to do
too, because you get like a book every year, but you have to get the book. You have to buy the book every single year because they keep updating it. They definitely have ways, and I think that partly they do that because they're trying to keep their organization vital.
Right.
So I get it, but it is a little bit cost prohibitive for some people.
Right. Yes. And
Especially
for us, I
3
think like
kids,
if one of us wanted to do it, it would have been fine. But since there was 3 of us,
it just starts to
and
add
of
up.
course, if one person if Rachel wanted to do it, all of us wanted to do it. So none of us got to be a part of the party.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I do think they've become more conscious of those things.
Yes.
Recently, and even I was looking up on the web. I spent most of my research just on their website because I was
I
like,
know,
what are
actually,
the patches? They're so
It really
cute.
is a great website.
And it seems now, I remember back in the day, you'd have a whole outfit. There was a shirt and a little orange thing that my neighbor was a brownie. So I used to kind of live vicariously through her. And then there was like a vest and a skirt, and the whole outfit was nothing, maybe $60 at the time, which was not nothing.
Yeah, I had the full
thing. And then you grow out of them.
Right.
And you have to keep buying new ones.
Yeah.
And then the books and all this stuff. And then, if you're a leader, I guess you have to get the
and you know what was free? Church. So
yeah.
we started.
Or 4-H.
Yeah. Or 4-H.
That was my 4-H experience.
But my big thing about Girl Scouts, that is where I learned not only how to camp or, archery and that sort of thing, but that's where I learned that Santa was not real.
Oh, fuck Girl Scouts.
I know!
Then. Get out of here, Girl Scouts.
I remember that day so clearly. We were at the troop like headquarters or wherever. We're having our meetings, and then some girls were laughing about Santa, and I was like, what about Santa? And Rachel, my older sister, was there, and Claire or somebody said Santa's just your mom and dad. And I was so destroyed. So that's where I learned that Santa was just my mom and dad at Girl Scouts.
That's very sad.
So
another plug for 4-H. 4-H tends to have a lot of homeschool kids. So they're generally speaking, in my experience with the homeschool kids, they sometimes are kind of weird and like socially awkward, but they tend to be very nice,
right,
and very sweet and very kind of sheltered. So they're not going to tell you about Santa.
They still believe in Santa,
and they haven't been bullied because they don't go to school,
right?
So they don't know what bullying is. So they're just nice people all the time. So that's another plus.
View that was actually a really good thing to learn in Girl Scouts is that your parents have been lying to you, and that here's the truth.
Did you get a badge for that though?
Yeah, here. There's no Santa badge.
Oh. No, but here, okay, so now I don't mean to be shitting on Girl Scouts.
No!
We're like shitting on Girls. First of all, they make the best cookies. I just had a bunch. My friend's daughter is a little Daisy Scout or something, and she
She
you
sold
know,
you
they sell
some?
them online now. But
I know.
But so we used to have to go, I say we because I would go with my neighbor, and we'd sell door to door, and it was the most nerve-wracking thing I'd ever done up until that point. But I think it's such a good skill to learn.
Absolutely. It teaches these young little girls to be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And I know some people kind of shit on Girl Scouts for saying that, like, you know, they really force you to do that. They really push you to do the cookies. And if you don't feel like doing the cookies, they really make you feel bad. And that could be true. I don't know. It probably depends from troop to troop too. And like how intense that troop is running their stuff. But I will say, even if a kid is too shy to sell cookies, I think it's still good for them to try because I think you really do learn about entrepreneurship. And I think the competition, some people complain about the because, you know, if you sell 10 million boxes or something, you get a new car.
They hoist you up and celebrate
good.
you as a gold member. Yeah.
But I think that kind of competition can also be good because I was breaking this down with my roommate the other day because okay. Here was one thing that always annoyed me was that the kids whose parents worked at some office with like a ton of people or their parents had a lot of money, so their employees had a lot of money and they would buy the most boxes or whatever. So some kid that basically did nothing and kind of outsourced the work to their parents, they would sometimes win all the prizes, and there was definitely an unfair advantage there. But as we were saying, like, wow, that sucks, we realized that's how everything works in this goddamn country. So it's at least teaching you at an early age that you're screwed. And you can't do that. Or you can, or what it teaches you, if you don't have the resources, like some of the kids with the rich kids or something, then you have to get creative. And that's also a very useful skill set. So my roommate was talking about how, reminding me of that girl that was selling them right by the weed dispensary.
Oh, in LA?
Somewhere in LA or Colorado or somewhere. But she was, and I'm sure,
genius.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe her parents helped her come up with that. But that was somebody that maybe, you know, she doesn't. You don't have to be rich to like make a ton of money off of cookies if you're creative about where you sell them.
Wow.
And I thought, like, I
would totally buy some cookies right after I picked up a J.
Yeah. And that's also just a great thing to teach a kid. You just gotta know your audience.
Know your audience.
You know the demographic.
Well, we would sign up. I thought it was cool that our little troop, yes, I do believe that there were some rich kids having their parents hawk them or whatever. But I think the majority of us, we would go to like Kroger's or any of the local grocery stores and like set up our booth, and then we'd sign up, and you'd spend an hour or two in each person. So then it was very fair that the troop was selling the cookies rather than.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The way that my friend did it, it was just every woman for herself. And then it was sort of a competition within the troop, and then they would win a prize. And we never got it. I mean, I keep saying we, like I pretended I was sort of in the group with her. I never went to any of the meetings. I wasn't allowed. But I went and sold with her, and we would just go door to door. It was the only way we knew how to do it.
Nowadays. Like, I think about that now after listening to so many of my murder podcasts. Like, if I had my daughter, yes, door-to-door selling is probably a really good lesson. Did your parents go with you?
I was just going to say, nope.
Did you go
I think
by yourself?
I was like the adult in that situation. I was probably about 8.
Yeah. Nope. No.
But
can't do that anymore.
Our neighborhood. I don't know. We have a pretty safe neighborhood.
But there's an app
You can
now.
go with your kids. You can also go with your kids. You don't have to like send them off like they did in the 90s. Whatever.
But now I didn't know this, but yeah, there is an app. You do still have to like put in your zip code and then find a local troop in your area so that you're giving to your local community.
Oh,
it's not that you can just like order.
One thing that was cool though, and I think that I don't think you can just order. Maybe you can just order them online. But my friend, I don't know if I finished this thought, but my friend who is a Daisy Scout or something, she always sends an email every year, and it just came out a couple like weeks ago, and I ordered 6 boxes of cookies, and they're already gone. I'm so sorry. I should have.
What?
I should have.
We should be munching on cookies right now,
know.
girl.
If I knew we were doing this episode, I would have saved a whole box for us.
Wow. Wait, what kinds did you get then?
My favorites are the tagalongs, which are the peanut butter ones, the Samoas, which are the coconut chocolate ones, and caramel, and then of course the Thin Mints.
Yeah,
those are my 3 favorites. They're all great, but those are the
Thin Mints are so good when you put them in the freezer.
Totally.
And then my god. Oh, God.
I know.
I used to hide. This is so TMI. But when I was a little girl, I struggled with my weight because I loved food so much. And I remember coming home from school. I was a latchkey kid, let myself in. And we had just gotten Girl Scout cookies. And I remember taking like a full sleeve and just sitting on the couch eating them. And then all of a sudden one day, my mom came home from work early and I shoved the whole sleeve under the couch. And then for a whole week, I just ate cookies from under the couch.
Yeah, just like nobody knows.
Nobody knows my little
secret.
secret. But now everybody in the world knows that I used to hide my Girl Scout cookies under the couch.
That I used to do weird shit like that too. That's a kid thing. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah,
I actually
thank
applaud you
you
for that.
Thank
especially
you.
with especially with Girl Scout cookies where they are at a premium. And you can claw people's eyes out for those cookies.
Oh my God.
If you can hide your little stash, good on you.
Thank you.
I'm into it.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, let's dive into a little bit of the history of Girl Scouts because I didn't know.
I was too busy looking at the patches.
Oh, well, the woman that started it, Juliette Gordon Lowe, she would actually go by Daisy. And that's why they have the daisies, I think. But did you look up her story? I mean, this woman was a force to be reckoned with. I think early, she was born, early 1800s or something like that.
She started the group in 1912.
Yeah.
So she was probably born in 1850, I don't know, 1850 or something.
But she was, when she was born, I mean, as a young girl, she was a troublemaker, kind of.
Oh,
That's what they were
know.
saying.
Interesting.
And her parents were very successful. Her mother spoke 6 languages, and her too she was also a wily woman. They said that she could speak 6 languages, but also curse in all 6 languages.
That's
and
amazing.
For a mom in the 1800s, like that was kind of crazy.
It must have been
her family founded Chicago.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're very, very well off, but they were living in Savannah, Georgia, I believe. And this woman, Juliette Gordon Lowe ended up marrying a very wealthy man who was like of Britain society. And so she went off to England and he was very, very wealthy. And so she was part of society. And because she was just very talented and just very well educated. People loved her at the court and she would entertain these very famous people in their many mansions across Europe. But he ended up leaving her and divorcing her, which was kind of unheard of in that era. And so then she was all of a sudden divorced and she at least got the Savannah plantation home. So she went back to Savannah. I guess she had learned about the Boy Scouts.
So that's another thing that I had heard. That was what I was just sort of thinking about right now is that in Europe, there was some sort of a Boy Scouting type troop. And in 1909, there were women, UK, Girl
Guides.
But they showed up at a thing and were like, bitch, we're going to be Girl Scouts now.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, kind of a big deal that they decided that they were going to do that. So I think she was very influenced by that movement that was happening in the UK.
So then she started in the UK. She started in Scotland. She I think she began in Scotland, and it was like a very small group of ladies who were in the Highlands and very uneducated, she would say. They would know how to take care of their house, but then they wouldn't know other farming or camping or survival skills. And so that she felt the need to educate them. But so she started it in Scotland and then founded a little girl, I guess they were called Girl Guides. And I guess with the Boy Scouts, they allowed them to be Girl Guides, but they weren't allowed to speak to the Boy Scouts, which I thought was
so
kind
weird.
But then she came over to the US and made a phone call to her cousin and said, I have this idea. Let's do this organization.
So great.
And it was just so perfectly aligned with her wanting to do more because she had been growing up in society. A woman can't, be an independent person on her own. She had to marry this very wealthy man, go off into society, and she was educated because of her wealth. But then as soon as the husband was gone, she was like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Right.
And so her point was to educate women.
Call back to the independent lady situation we were just talking about earlier. But
But so when she started this organization, people thought she was crazy and thought that, of course, I mean, I guess she was 50 years old when she started it and divorced. And so people were like, whoa. But the Boy Scouts had been founded by then. And so she slowly started this the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
With, I think, just like a small group in Savannah, and then obviously it's just grown to millions.
Totally. No, it's amazing. It's very inspiring to have, that's how these things start. You know, somebody has an idea and says, let's do this.
Right.
One thing that struck me, because I had to look up, I wasn't 100% sure at first, and then of course I fell into my own wormhole with this, but I had to look up to see if the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts were affiliated, and no, they are not. They are two separate organizations. And you may or may not have heard about how the Boy Scouts are now not the Boy Scouts anymore. I think they're just the Scouts, and they are having girls. They're accepting girls into their programs too. And that was a whole hubbub with the Girl Scouts of America, because what do you call them if they're in the Boy Scouts but they're girls? You want to call them a Girl Scout, but the Girl Scouts own that trademark. So you can't call a Girl Scout
in the Boy Scouts.
In the Boy Scouts.
That's confusing.
Yeah. So I think that, I don't know how they've been working that out, but
but also that the Boy Scouts now include both men and women that can join, but then the Girl Scouts say only girls.
Only girls.
Yeah.
But they're very good about I don't know what you call it, liberal politics. So if I read the whole thing on the website. They said if you're a trans girl, we accept you on a case-to-case basis. But that being said, if you're being raised as a girl in your home and you identify as being a girl, you're not going to have a problem. That's it. So you're in. And I thought that was very great of them that they were so quick to not.
Well, I think that was the point of Juliet Lowe. From the day dot, it was supposed to be inclusive for all. And so even when, I guess it was originally, yes, for white women, but because of the organization and the growth of it very early on, minority groups started forming. And then in the 50s, it was integrated, which was unheard of in the 50s, because that's before the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
She really made a point to say that this is for all young girls of any race or ethnicity or, nationality.
That's what's so interesting to me. Okay, so I fell into my 4-H wormhole because I started comparing. So if you have a girl and you're trying to decide, oh, well then should I put her into Boy Scouts now or should I put her into Girl Scouts? What's the difference between the organizations? And then I started being like, and what's the difference with 4-H? And then I went off on the whole thing. But so forget 4-H. The difference between the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, I'm going to call them the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. I don't know what they're officially called, Scouts and the Girl Scouts. There was a couple things that really stood out to me because they were saying, well, these are things you should know if you're choosing between the Scouts and the Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts is very inclusive. They were very quick to accept LGBTQ women, trans women, very quick to accept them. I looked on the website. There was stuff about abortion on their website.
Really?
But the question was, do you support abortion rights? And they said, we don't support or not support. We support women being able to make their choices for their own bodies. And if individual troops want to have a leaning one way or the other, that's up to them. But we don't have a actual statement, which I thought was a very good way of dealing with that, because people have different feelings all across the country, and you want to be able to unite the troops, in the country. The Boy Scouts, on the other hand, have historically been very anti-gay. They have been very not okay with having troop leaders be gay. They've been very not okay with having their scouts be gay or openly gay. They've just finally, since like maybe 2014 or something, started to kind of like be more relaxed about those rules. And the trans thing was a really big problem for them for a long time too, before they went co-ed. So then they were really resistant to that. One of the reasons why, because I was like, well, I mean, there's many reasons why that could be, but one of the reasons why is that the Mormon church has been very connected to the Boy Scouts.
Really?
And if you were Mormon, you were required to be a Boy Scout when you were a little kid. So 1 in 5 Boy Scouts was Mormon. So when the Boy Scouts finally said, when they felt so much pressure, they had to say, okay, we accept gay people and we accept trans people. The Mormon church was like, we're out of here. So they lost a 5th of their Boy Scout. I mean, that's if you're a company, even a non-for-profit, you lost a huge percentage of your income and your growth and all that. So that was one of the reasons why they've really been very weird about that. So the Boy Scouts has traditionally been for white, straight Christian men. And they also officially don't allow you in if you're an atheist.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What?
Where the Girl Scouts, they just changed. There's like a pledge or something that says God in it. And the Girl Scouts officially said, if you want to replace God with whatever, you can go for it.
Oh,
no problem.
Good for the Girl
So
Scouts.
they really are honoring this tradition of being inclusive that was set from the beginning, which is really cool. So if you so I want to make it clear, it's not this, because some people think there's been confusion when the Boy Scouts opened up for girls, and some parents were thinking like, oh, it's the same thing, or oh, it doesn't matter. Just so you know, it's not exactly the same thing. Also, I think that you have to wear the full uniform in the Boy Scouts.
And
the Girl Scouts now, they don't even have a full uniform, really. They have like a vest or a sash or a tunic.
A tunic
Or something.
Oh, lovely.
Some sort of.
I mean, it's all
thing.
about those patches.
It's about the patches. You gotta show. You gotta have something for the patches.
Oh man, when I would
them.
do something and then get a patch, it was like you're on top of the world. I mean, it's such a great organization for just instilling confidence in young women.
For sure.
In order, you set your mind to something and you're able to do it. Did you know that past Girl Scout alum include Taylor Swift, Mariah Carey, Venus and Serena Williams, Katie Couric, Barbara Walters, Robin Roberts, and of course Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Nice, everybody.
So,
I mean,
everybody.
certainly it's been an institution in the United States. I think that's another thing versus 4-H is I think it's much easier to find Girl Scout troops that are active in your in your area. So that's always a plus too.
Right. Well, it's also I didn't know this, but if you don't have a child, but you still want to get involved and be maybe a troop leader, you can still volunteer.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Which you could be a mentor to young.
Well, I imagine I can
cool.
imagine somebody that had gone through the Girl Scout program and again didn't have kids but just missed being part of the community.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it. I was gonna say also just one more thought about joining the Scouts versus the Girl Scouts specifically is that the Scouts will be co-ed, right? And then the Girl Scouts is just girls. As a person that went to a women's university, there's a lot of benefits to just having it stay all girls, especially for young girls, because there's a little more space for them to be heard traditionally. I think some of these things are changing, hopefully, but boys tend to be more loud and aggressive, and girls sometimes get sort of stomped on. I think not literally, but just that they don't get their voices heard all the time in these environments. Also, it sort of eliminates, girls can be boy crazy and whatever, but they can be themselves, and they don't, when you get to a certain age and you're trying to impress a boy, if you're in a group of girls, you don't have to worry about it, So I think that that's a nice thing too, that it really focuses on girls learning how to be strong women. That being said, I was wondering though, maybe it's not so great that the Boy Scouts is co-ed for the boys, because why wouldn't you want to? I think it's okay to have a boy group that's boys that are taking care of each other, as long as it's not toxic masculinity style,
right?
Which it seems like it may have been a little bit of, but I think although a lot of Christian values in the Boy Scouts, so mostly I think it was good stuff, helping people out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Build a fire, help a friend. I don't know.
Fire, help a friend.
Is that the motto?
Yeah. I think because of the time we're in right now, that's why they were, people really are pushing for all inclusivity and that sort of thing. And so that's why they really pushed it. But I kind of agree with you that there's nothing wrong with having a Boy Scouts and a Girl Scouts.
I don't think so either. I think it's okay to have some things that are gendered like that, and as long as they're inclusive of all whatever people, I don't know. I do think it's nice to have a safe space that's just for women, and I think it's nice to have a safe space that's just for boys if they're learning.
Well, just coming off
things.
of our barbershop, she's not your rehab. Where else could you learn this sort of stuff other than like Boy Scouts and have these men talk about any types of trauma and all that sort of stuff?
And I'm not going to say boys get distracted by cute girls, but in the same way I just said girls can be distracted by boys.
Thing.
Yeah, just you have like some space where you don't have to worry about that stuff so much or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's old fashioned, but I think that there's space for that stuff. And if you want to do a co-ed one, join 4-H. Why not?
Oh man, this is not a 4-H podcast.
Oh God, I think it is on my end, but that's my secret mission is to get everyone to join 4-H. I will say too, though, that there were some families that did both because 4-H tends to meet once a month and the Scouts tends to meet on once a week. So if you wanted to join groups that are co-ed groups, do that.
Yeah.
And then you can also have your single sex.
Well, sadly, there is a huge decline in membership in the Girl Scouts going on right now. And I think it's a lot to do with just so many different opportunities and different extracurricular activities that some schools offer. But then also I was reading that the parents are actually, you have to show up for your kid and help volunteer, and a lot of the parents are dropping their kids off and not and having to work and provide for their families because the middle class is fucked these days. So they're having to work and do and provide for their families in that way, and then they're not able to show up to volunteer to sell cookies. So the parents are not able to let their children be in. Part of
and I guess because it is a weekly thing, it's a pretty big commitment to some degree.
It's a big time commitment.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I wonder too if there isn't something to be said, because I know we're not there yet, but also because there are more, I'm sure at one point the only place a young girl could feel empowered in that way was in Girl Scouts. And I guess you kind of hit on this, but there's just more programs now for young women to feel empowered in different ways, and they could be more, maybe less time consuming and more specific to their interests. Oh, can I tell you one thing? Somebody was complaining about how people are like, well, why would you join the the Scouts and not join the Girl Scouts? And I'm like, well, the Boy Scouts offers more, more like camping and things. And maybe at one point the Girl Scouts was less, I don't really know, but I went to see like what kinds of programs they offer. Not only do they have like a hiking, outdoorsy whole thing, that they do like hike runs, like these intense
Boy Scouts?
No, the Girl Scouts they're doing now, and then outward bound type like days and days in the woods. So they're doing that for sure. But they also have a STEM program, which I thought was so awesome that they're, and I'm sure that's a little bit newer, but to do like the science, math, engineering.
They're really trying to focus more on that rather than
so great.
The housekeeping, cleaning or cooking or taking all that,
But even for, and I think that that's great. But the fact that it was specifically like such an academic thing was, I just was really excited about that. But it doesn't have to be academic in a boring way. It can be like, we're going to build a robot today. And you're like, cool.
Right.
Give me my patch. Yeah. I'm into it. So I don't know, that made me really excited to get a child involved in Girl Scouts. It seems like they're doing what they can to evolve, at least.
Well, yeah. I mean, in 2016, the Girl Scouts took the stage, or 2015, the Girl Scouts took the stage at the CES, which is Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and debuted their digital cookie, which is basically like launching websites and then launching personal apps. So teaching their young ones about technology and entrepreneurship through technology, and then basically like helping position Girl Scouts for a better future in technology.
Yeah, well, they were also cool. That's so cool. And they were voted, I don't remember what year it was, but top 10, or they made some top 10 list from Forbes for being one of the most innovative companies of that year or that whatever lately. Because I think that similar to our story about how, if you're trying to sell cookies and you don't have the resources, you got to be creative. They're learning from their own lessons, which is that they got to change with the times. They've got to come up with ways to stay on the leading edge. And they're actually making an effort to do that, it seems, which is really exciting. Right.
I mean, a Girl Scout app to buy cookies. Hello.
Well, I mean, of course.
How cool.
And also, how dumb not to do that.
Right.
How dumb would they be to not want to
And I think that they've gone back several different times to, they've been re-upping their app and making it better.
That's great. Yeah. And like I said, I bought cookies online for my friend, and that money went to that troop. So I was still like kind of going door to door, but digitally. It definitely made me feel like if I had a daughter right now, I would definitely find a troop and see if that was a good fit for her, because I am feeling very pro.
You'd show up with your 4-H shirt on
I'd
saying,
go,
do
yep.
Girl Scouts, baby, but if not, if you don't like it,
No,
you
we just do
don't
both. We'll take it once a month at this troop and then every week to the other.
Yeah.
And then I would keep all the patches and I would put them on my denim jacket. And
To me, it just blew my mind that whenever we would go camping, it would just be all ladies. Like, how cool is that?
No, I think
and
that's
I mean,
great.
nowadays too, I mean, I was reading there's like cookie dads, there's male, you can be a dad troop leader. I mean, it's all inclusive.
That's
so.
really great. And imagine, so you felt like it was really cool when you're out camping and it's all these girls like doing it in the mud, doing their thing.
Yeah.
But so now that for sure. And then in addition to that, being in a computer lab and all the girls are, all the people in there are girls, like that sends a message to you and it becomes really normalized.
Right.
So if you're really little and you're learning computer programming stuff as a little kid or whatever, and everybody's a girl in the room, you don't think it's such a weird thing. Us old people are like, oh my God, there's so many vaginas in here. It's amazing. You're like, no, it's normal. It's fine.
Well, there's something about like every woman, who has been in space had done Girl Scouts.
That does not surprise me. That's cool.
So I think that's cool. And then this is something that I did not know, and I learned because of my research. In 1927, in a Girl Scout publication, is the first recorded recipe of s'mores. S'mores are my absolute favorite dessert. I mean, I have made it over a Glade candle in my Brooklyn apartment. I fucking love. I know. Don't do that. Don't do that. It'll taste like Pacific Breeze.
Yeah.
But I love s'mores, and I had no idea that it can be traced back to the Girl Scouts.
Makes sense, but I love it.
Makes sense.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Innovative women doing innovative things.
Look at that, burning a marshmallow over an open fire
and putting chocolate and graham cracker on it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
I mean, I didn't come up with it. I wasn't a Girl Scout.
Well, I think it's cool. I think that's neat that they're still thriving today. I mean, yes, the membership is down, but so after this podcast, I'm sure it'll just pop back up again.
Sure. I was sending have your girls try it out, see if it's a good fit,
Yeah. Sure.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
If anybody also has like old patches they don't want anymore, they can send them to me. I really want them.
Do you want my sash, my old sash?
How many patches do you have on it?
A lot. I remember.
There
was a lot.
Pilfer the patches and put them on.
It was like butterfly looking, or like taking a magnifying glass and like studying moths. That was like a patch.
This might be my new hobby. I might just try to find old patches and try to put them on a jacket.
I mean, that would be cool.
So cool. Oh my God. I don't know how cool it is. It makes me excited though.
I mean, the uniform was like part of the reason why to join in the first place.
I was very jealous of the uniform.
Yeah, I would show up to school wearing my little brownie uniform.
Yeah.
The coolest part was like the socks.
Yes.
Like you even had like a sock like thing, stretchy thing that would hold up your socks with like a little orange bow.
Yes, I remember that. I was very jealous.
Yeah, it was cool. Anyway, we couldn't afford to continue, so that's why.
Well, I'm glad and you know what? They got rid of all that. So you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, I think this is an inspiring episode.
Yeah. I learned a lot about the Girl Scouts.
Let you forget for a moment what's happening in the world today.
Well, you know what? If you get your girls active and your boys active in programs, Girl Scouts or otherwise, then they can be, they're going to be tomorrow's leaders. So let's get them going doing positive things.
Oh, I thought it'd be fun to do the Girl Scout promise.
You mean the 4-H pledge?
No, the Girl Scout promise.
Oh, okay.
And you do your hands like this.
All right.
I think you do it.
Oh, I don't know. Like a nanu.
Yeah.
Take me to your leader. Okay, here we go.
Okay. On my honor, I will try to serve God or whatever it
doesn't matter. And my country to help people at all times and to live by the Girl Scout law. Thanks for joining us, you guys. What a fun episode.
Thank you all.
Toodles. Bye. Hey guys, by the way, we forgot. If you need some sex toys, you should go to adamandeve.com. Take it away. Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up your bedroom is even better.
Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff.
Enter offer code HORIO at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts.
A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy.
And 6 free spicy movies.
Ooh. Plus, free shipping.
That's HORIO, WHOREO, HORIO at adamandeve.com.